Hi everyone, if you're watching a recording, we're going to start here pretty soon. What did I do? Let's see. I moved something sort of funky here. There we go, fixed. All right, so Andy tells me that the Q Talk Facebook page, or I'm sorry, not the Q Talk, the Q Farm Gray Facebook page is working. Woohoo! Has been working for a couple weeks, but we are back up and live. Hi everyone, this is Q Farm Gray. You know that, right? And it is Monday, May 23rd, week 112. Oh, what is exciting about this week? What's exciting about this week is I am leaving for Austria tomorrow to do a metal immersion excursion in Austria. So it's been a long time coming. As some of you know, the Austria trip back in December was canceled due to a shutdown. And well, given that we've got less than 24 hours before we're getting on a plane, or actually, what is it, 27 hours before we're getting on a plane, keep your fingers crossed. This is going to happen. I'm really excited about that. If you ever want to join me on it, we have another Austria trip coming up in December. Information's on the qfarmgray.com site if you want to take a look. It's also up there on the urbanbeater.com website if you want to take a look at that. There's a couple of spots left and it's still available. So don't ask me what the dates are, but it is on the website. Okay, how many times can I say website? So what are we doing today? Today is Monday and we're doing Start Something New. If you haven't joined us before, Start Something New is absolutely that. I'm going to do something that I've never actually done before, and I'm going to work my way through it and see how far I get. So believe it or not, I have never made hoop earrings. I know, I really don't wear hoop earrings, but it's not really my look, so I think, but we'll see. Maybe if I like these, I'll wear them in Austria next week, woohoo, or this week. So I thought it might be fun because a friend of mine had reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I can't seem to get these hoop earrings to work. And so, hopefully she has fixed that, and I was able to walk her through that. I don't know. She hasn't reported back, but it got me thinking about hoop earrings, and here we are. So looking around, there's so many different ways to do this, and instead of doing just a simple wire with a little loop and a bend, I'm going to take this a little tiny bit further. So what I have today is I have some twisted wire that I had in my scrap pile. So I know this could have been start from scrap too. So all the things that I have here is from scrap, but we can see, let's see how to work through this. But pretty much I have already figured out that you're going to need a mallet. A step mandrel would be really nice. By the way, we have all these items on our website. And since I'm using something that's so heavy, you're going to want a heavy duty side cutter. Or if you don't have a heavy duty side cutter, then you can definitely use a saw. Okay. So, and of course, because we're always soldering, you'll need a soldering station with a torch and solder pick and a pickle pot and. That said, let me grab this piece, yet another piece of scrap out of my pickle. I know, it's so weird. Okay, so I've had this piece of wire in my scrap for quite a while, and it doesn't seem to want to pickle. It's really weird. Okay, so, hey, can I get a response out there? Andy says that the video is coming over as slow-mo. So can somebody give us a little verification out there and let us know what you're seeing? In the meantime, give me a second. I'm going to take a look at it myself. Ooh, it is very choppy. Sort of weird. All right, give me a minute here. Let me see what's going on. Yep. Okay, so I'm hearing a report that it is doing something weird out there. So hold on a second. Let me see if I can figure this out. let me take a look at the settings. Okie dokie. Well, it seems to be working. Our internet speed is running, but here's the deal. It's running properly. I'm wondering if it's the camera. Okay, let's try another camera. Okay, so we'll go with this camera. I know. Is it working? Make sure I'm on the right camera. Okay, apparently not. Let's see. Oops. Okay, so it could be the camera that is causing a bit of a problem here. I just switched cameras, babe. Okay. Go. Let me move things over just a little bit here so it's a little bit more comfortable for me to work with. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's see how this goes. All right, so can somebody verify out there? Are you seeing it okay? It's all working better? Okay. Okay. So thanks for the verification. We'll start over again. Not start over, but you know. Anyway, we're going to get this rolling. Okie dokie. All right. So I don't know what's going on with this piece of wire, but it's been sitting in my scrap pile for a while. And check it out. It's sort of pickled, but it sort of didn't. It's so weird. So I'm going to torch it one more time and pickle it and see if I can get it cleaned up. You know what? For me, when I have doubt, I just sort of torch everything. Feels like it just burns things off, that kind of stuff. Nothing like putting 2,500 degrees into it, pickle it, get it clean up again, that kind of thing. Why not? But not melted, of course. Okay. Let's try that again. Stick it in the pickle one more time. In the meantime, I have this piece of wire here. I would like it to be twisted a little bit more. Remember, I'm working on scrap today, so these pieces have been sitting around for a while. I did go ahead and anneal it. You know, just as an FYI, metal does get harder as it sits around, believe it or not, even like perfectly annealed wire. So sometimes if something's been sitting around for an extra long time, this has probably been sitting here for a couple, actually, since before COVID, so more than 2 years it's been here, and it definitely got hard on me. So that's why I went ahead and annealed it. All right, so here I'm using a flex shaft. I don't know if this flex shaft is quite enough to twist this wire, but I'm going to try to do this really carefully because it's sort of scary to use a flex shaft. Okay, see, so it's not wanting to twist. It's too heavy to use a flex shaft on something this heavy, despite the fact that I have already annealed it. So I'll take it off. I would use a wire twister, except I can't show it on camera. It's just really hard. So I'm going to do this by hand. And I'm just going to twist it like that between two flat nose pliers. This is a parallel plier, which I like for something like this. It's also known as a hand vise, but I was really just wanting this to have a nicer twist. Okay, there it is. So really nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of solder on each end, and I'm going to run the solder through because I want this to be more solid and I don't want it to come apart. Not that it would, but it also makes soldering on the next step a lot easier. Just saying. and this is how I prevent it, right? So when I go to cut it, I don't want it to split or anything like that. And by putting a little bit of solder in there and running it all the way through. Okay, maybe not a little bit, but a lot of solder. And running it all the way through. Ooh, okay, new camera, sorry. Still learning how to zoom here. And actually see if I can get this to be moved over a little bit better. Okay, so we're just gonna solder this piece and then we'll do the other piece once it is nicely pickled. This is sterling silver. I'm using, I believe it's 14 gauge wire twisted, 2 pieces twisted together. There we go. Watch the solder go all the way down. Don't melt. But did you see how it sort of sank a little bit? That tells me it's annealed. It's very annealed, which is great. All right, so there's my first piece. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the pickle and grab the other one out and see how it's doing. Wow, such a challenged little piece. I don't know what the story is. Sort of crazy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this one too because I don't need all of that. And I want the twist, I want to try, you know, the shorter the pieces, the easier it is to twist and to get it even, right? So we'll go with that. Love those cutters. I'm sorry, honey. So again, same thing here, holding it in my parallel pliers / hand vise, and with the other side with a pair of flat nose or chain nose without teeth. I suppose you could use it with the teeth, but just be careful not to do anything any further down because it's going to mar it, right? Okay, there we are. It is not it's not flat, so I'm going to help it out a little bit here. So I know this is going to make it really hard, right? Yeah. And we'll need to anneal that again. So when you go to bend it for that hoop that we want to do. I hope that I twisted it the same, but we'll know once I pull it out of the pickle. But we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and anneal it now before we put it in the pickle and save ourselves a step. Actually, I forgot to solder it, but we'll put it in the pickle anyway. Wow, almost the exact same size. Yay. Okay, pickle is a challenge today. Because look at this. I know. What's up with that? It's hot. Just doesn't want to do it. That's okay. It doesn't really matter here because I'm going to pickle it at the end anyway. And I'm going to solder on the ends. So the fact that it's not soldered on the sides is not relevant to me. Right? Right. Okay. So here we go. I'm just going to cut this off where the solder had started. And we're going to go ahead and file this nice and flat. Like so. Take off any sharp edges. Okay. So then I'm thinking to make this really nice and finished, I'm going to take a little tiny disc and solder it, oops, to the end. Oh yeah, that ought to be nice. That would make, I think that would make it really, really nice. Just to give it that little finished professional touch. All right, so that'll work. And let's pull the other piece out, compare the twists before I do anything. I say that's pretty even. Yeah, it's pretty much the same twist, so I'm going to go with that. So, and you know what's sort of funny is it's almost the exact size. I had just taken a little bit off. Look at that. That was a good guesstimate, huh? Anyway, I just made myself happy. Actually, as much as I say it's the same, this one needs to be twisted just a little bit more. Yes, we're doing this for reals, so I care. It's when I don't do it for real that I don't care. But since we're using real silver instead of copper today, let's get this done right. Or perfectly. How's that? A little bit more. So make sure you twist in the same direction if you want them to look the same, right? But if you want them going in opposite directions, twist in opposite directions. I know, it seems so obvious, but it's not so obvious to everybody. Teeny bit more. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to run a little bit of solder on this also. Same thing, and then we'll pickle it, then we'll go ahead and bend it. So a bunch of solder on each end. We're using hard solder paste. It's funny to me, you know, I've been using solder paste for what, since I started my career about 12 years ago. And it's just sort of interesting because solder paste came into play, from what I understand, about 5 years or so before that, less than 10 years before that. And not many people knew about it, but you would think here we are 20 years later that everybody would know about solder paste, but yet I still get students who come to class going, what is that? Well, if you haven't used solder paste before, it has the flux built into it. And this is bona fide silver solder. It's not the stuff, and I'm saying that nicely, it's not the stuff you find at the hardware store that people think it is, okay? So this is honest to goodness silver solder. It's about 75% silver, so no reason to poo-poo that, because that's what solder is, approximately 75% silver. All right, right into the pickle that one goes. Let's go ahead and bend this one. And I'm using my step ring mandrel to ensure that both pieces come out the same. So you see how I'm bending that? I'm going to leave that sort of straight. I'm not going to go all the way down, but I will bend the other side all the way around, like so. Because a hoop, you want this to go towards the ear, right? And this to loop back around. At least that's what I think it should be. And I'm just using my hands. And let's go ahead and snip that. Okay, so this side, I do want to have it bent around and not have a straight side. You see how it's sort of like this open C that we have going on, that this comes up and this goes back, because that's going to go pointing back towards the ear. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And let's grab the other one with the challenged pickle. Yeeks. It's so weird to me when sometimes when pickle decides not to work. Now, what is that? Okay, we'll go ahead and trim this. And I'll give it a file right now, because it's easier to file it when it's nice and straight like this than when it's bent, right? So why not do some of the easy parts when you can? Okay. Same thing here. Bring this all the way around. And then push it down like so. And I know this side is mangled because I mangled it. So we'll go ahead and trim that off, put it next to each other, and get these to be the same size. So we're going to go like that. Let's see. Bend this around a little bit more. Actually, you know, this isn't flat, so I'm going to flatten it. Same thing here. Yes, I use my workbench as as a bench block. That is true. Yes. So the question is there a difference between paste, chip, sheet, and wire solder if we're talking about the same level? So if it's hard, it should be 75 across the board. However, let's be honest, it depends on who's manufacturing it. There may be a slight difference in that, but it's not going to go from 70. Someone's not going to call hard solder a 65% solder, hard solder. So the variable is going to be very slight in there. What I do, and that said, you sort of got to be careful as to where you're getting your solder from, because again, that variable might just play at some point. So be aware of that, but it should really be the same across the board. Okay, so this is pretty much the same, so you can see, like so, right? And I'm going to go with that. Don't exactly like how this was cut, so I'm going to do a little bit more filing there. Yes, double filing is okay. As you can see, it works. All right. I feel like my light just turned on. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solder this down to the disc. And you know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and file the other ones too and solder a little disc on the ends of those, just to give it just a little bit of a finish instead of just a raw edge, right? I think that would be nice. Either that or, let me think about this for half a second, or maybe we round it out. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm going to start at least with this one though, where we're going to put the post. Okay, how are we going to do this? That's the next question. What's the best way to do this? I don't know. We're going to find out. I'm thinking honeycomb solder block. Probably. So I hope that answers your question regarding hard solder. But what's really nice about solder paste is it's a one-stepper. You don't have to think about you don't have to think about that flux and having to dry flux and that kind of thing. So I think this is how this is going to go, is like that. Okay, done deal. Put a little bit of medium solder on there. And yes, this is a lot for this little tiny piece, but I have this sneaking feeling that the solder is going to get sucked into that twist, into that wire. So I'm giving it a little extra just because it'll make me feel better. Okay, we're going to go down like so. I'm going to heat my hoop first, because that disc is going to be so small, it's going to heat up so quickly that I'm not sure it's going to solder unless I heat this up first. See, bad position. Let's move this out to the side. Okay, that was a bad position on my part here. I need to move this to the edge if I'm going to reach it. All right, so now we got to heat it again because it went cold. Heat it, heat it. Remember, it's silver, so you got to heat the whole thing, and then we're going to come right down on it and then heat right there at that disc. Beautiful. Gonna do it. A little extra love. How's that? There we go. Yay. Yes. Should I have, okay, so the question is, should I have soldered the disc before shaping around the mandrel? You know, I thought about that. Was that the question, honey? Could I have? So the question is, could I have soldered the disc before putting around the mandrel? And I had thought about that. And I thought, oh, that should be the easy way to go. However, my disc is not exactly the diameter of my wire. So my thought was, if I did solder it on, I wouldn't be able to wrap it around, what just happened? Oops. I couldn't wrap it around the mandrel the way I wanted it to. And that's why I did not do it that way. So that's my answer. But yeah, you could. Why not? Okay, so let's do another one. I just saw that. I don't know why. Okay, I think I know what happened here. So Andy told me that every so often you're getting a scroll across the screen. Remember, I got a new camera here. It's doing funny things. It's like I'm looking at the screen on the camera and it wants to do a demo of some sort. So it's really weird. I'm going to have to figure out how to turn it off. We'll do it after Austria, right? Right. Okay. Okay. There you go. Bit of solder. Okay, remember, the reason, I'm going to just mention it again, the reason why I have it off the edge like this is so that I could reach it with my my hoop and just place it right down on it, okay? Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to if it was too far up. So, okay. So we just heat it again. Good amount of heat. Ooh. There you go. Okay. Check it. Seems to be on there. I don't know. Still debating on this other side. Should I put another disc on there? See, the reason why I put the disc on here is just to help it make it a little bit easier when you go to put the pin in, right? So it's better to solder right onto a disc as opposed to a twisted wire. So debate. You know what? I think I will put the disc on there, but I think I'm gonna file it so that it looks a little bit more finished. Okay, so let's check on the other piece and see. You know, my pickle is steaming up very nicely, but it doesn't want to clean up nicely. What is up with that? I have no idea. Some days. Okay, so let's do the other side. So this one's going to be a little bit harder to do. I have to think about this for a second. So a suggestion is to put a small silver ball on this end here. Yeah, well, I think that's a great idea. Let's look for one. Have fun balancing that, right? I suppose I could put my standard ancient grain on there and give it a little something something. But the question really is, can I balance one on there for soldering? Okay, I can't even hold it. Wait. I'm like, wait. Like you're going anywhere. What are we waiting for? Well, let's see. Tilt it to the side so you can see what's going on. Okay, challenge on. I'll take the challenge. We'll do it. Let's see if I happen to have in my scrap pile here any granules that match. Would be nice. Are these the same? They're close. Yeeks. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to reheat these to make them nice because they're not exactly. Oh, I'm off camera, sorry. I'm sitting here trying to match up some granules. Okay. Hey, honey, let me know if it's still doing that screen thing, that weird screen thing. Okay, so we'll put 2 granules right on here on the solder board. I'm going to reheat it to get it nice and round again. They're sort of challenged, so why not make it really nice? And all you have to do, I mean, if your granules are a little challenging like mine, all you have to do is reheat it to see if you can get it to behave. Those two are pretty similar, okay, except of course now this one's stuck. If you get your granule stuck on your solder board, you have to make sure that you get any residue from the solder board off of the bottom, or else it won't solder, because it's not soldering silver to silver. It's now trying to solder to some, I don't know what this board is, whatever this board is made of, slough, okay? And that's not going to work. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to take out just a teeny weeny bit of sandpaper and sand this just for a moment here, just to ensure that I have all that slough off. Of course, if only I can hold on to it. There we go. Okay. Still not clean. Now I've got other slough on there. There we go. And clean this one too. So the question is, do I have the tweezers I'm using on the website? Yes, it's part of the 6-pack tweezers. It's also the pack that has the ones that I love so much. These, the blunt ones. So it's a cool little set. we are. Okay, so these two are not the same size. Ugh. I really want them to be even, so let's see if I can find another one that's a lot closer. Oh, that one's a lot closer. Oh, that makes me much happier. Okay, we're gonna go with that one. All right, challenge on. This ought to be interesting. How to balance this granule. So I think what it's gonna happen here is I'm going to balance it on top of this piece on my in my pumice. So we'll put a little bit of medium solder again on there, and then put that piece on. All right, deep breath. We can do this. I'm gonna, okay. So instead of putting it on there, I'm gonna heat this first. Did you see that? It fell right off, right? I don't think you guys can see that piece. Where am I? That's where I'm soldering. Okay. So we'll heat the hoop first. Bring the granule down towards it and see if we can drop it right in place, right when it flows. Nope. Oh, you really want to challenge me on this, don't you? I know, Linda, you're sitting there laughing like a hyena. I know. Insert evil laugh. Okay, that's not working out here. Let's try this a different way. Hold on. It's hot. It's not really stable in the pumice, so I'm going to switch out. I'm doing what I always tell people not to do. I'm not quenching my piece. I know you're laughing because I know you, Linda. You all know I'm always up for a good challenge. Why not put myself out there for embarrassment? Right, right. All I have to say is you do this and see how it goes. Yes. Look at that. I did it. So excited. I know. I still have to do it again, but don't get too excited, right? Yes! Okay, look at that. It's on. I'm pretty happy with how even it is on there. We'll throw this in the pickle. Let's go grab the other piece. Like so. There's my granule. My granule's here. It's wet because I quenched it and, because I pickled it and rinsed it. So I'm just gonna heat it up a little bit to dry it up. Just a teeny weeny little bit. And then, where'd it go? My pin went missing. Oh, there it is. So it looks like one begets another, and Linda's going to take the challenge since she was the one who suggested the granule. I don't know. Is she the one who suggested the granule? Her and Amanda. So you too, Amanda. Challenge for you too. Okay. So notice I'm heating the whole thing. I'm bringing in the granule and I'm getting the granule hot at the same time because there is some heat sink on the tweezers, so you got to make sure you get everybody hot. Wow. Look at me. Ha 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 ha! Yes, I know. Yes. So happy. Yes, you. Oh, I will hold you to that after Vienna. Okay, so I have a little issue with this in that it is ever so slightly off that way. So yes, I'm tempting fate, and I'm going to heat this up again, and I'm going to gently push it back to where I want it to be. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't have done it that way. I should do it this way. Okay, yeah. You want to position it always when you're working. You want to position things in a place that is comfortable for you. Don't fight it. I mean, we have tools. Use them. That's right. Pretty proud we didn't lose a single ball in the pumice. I second that. Did you see that? So I gently moved it over and it is now even. Yay me! You know, be proud of your successes. Be excited about your successes. This is my life lesson right now. This is my lesson for the year. I'm learning to be excited for all the things that I can do. You should too. It only took 32 years to get to this point, 34 years as an adult to get to this point. And why not? Okay. So there it is. Let's put a pin in it. Put a pin in it. Ha! So I've got 2 wires here. Actually, they're not really straight, so I'm going to go ahead and straighten it out real quick against 2 bench blocks. I'm going to go ahead and trim this with my flush cutters. We're going to also go ahead, just because we can, even though they're flush, give it a little bit of a file. And then trim the other side. I don't even know how long these things should be. How long should these things be? I'm thinking 1/2 inch should be good. So this is a little more than, I think I'm going to go with 1/2 inch. We'll bring it in. I feel like that should be plenty for this to work, right? Okay. So make sure I have the flush side. Make sure I have the flush side down. Okay, now we'll put a little tiny bit of easy solder right on top of our disc. Okay, suggestion was 10 millimeters long, which is about half an inch. 1/2 inch is about 12. Okay, so we're gonna freehand this, and we're gonna put it right down on that disc. Again, we're gonna heat the whole thing. I'm gonna do gentle heat. Did you notice that? My torch is a bit smaller this time, because I don't want to melt this wire. But I'm not bringing the wire in, unlike the granule, which is a lot bigger than this wire. And I'm heating the hoop Now I'm going to go ahead and heat the area with the disc, put my wire down, and just like that, it solders. Dead center. So happy. Check that out. Taha. Yes. It's all good. I must have given a really nice offering to the solder gods today. I'm going to put that right into the pickle. I'm going to reach for the other piece now. And let's do that again. I guess I gotta find my other piece of wire though. Okay, underneath. And make sure I have the flush side down, which would be that side. A little bit of easy solder. Like so. I'm checking to see which side I should be doing this. Okay, that side. Again, heat the hoop. Get it nice and dry. Now we're going to heat that disc. It's almost there. Put it right down on it. So question is, if you don't know how to freehand, how would you do this? Pull out a third hand. That is going to be the only other way to do it. And then, you know, we have these really cool tweezers. Have you guys ever seen these? So these are sort of fun, right? So these tweezers, and this could hold it for you also. And what's nice is you can flip it, and it has like different heights that you can flip it. So these are nice. This could have been, actually, yeah, you could have used this to hold your pin, you see that? And then placed it down. So that could have worked too, or a third hand. I have, you know, I find a lot of uses for that one too. So there we are. We'll throw this into the pickle. Give it a minute. We're gonna file a little ridge in the end for the clutch to catch, right? And file the ends just a little teeny weeny bit. Where's my file? Oh, there's my file. And polish it up. Woohoo! My first pair of hoop earrings. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit of something today. I know I did. I learned that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. But again, it probably was because I made a huge sacrifice to the solder gods. I don't know. I say that. What sacrifice did I make? Nah. And you know, another thing that I wanted to point out today too is you see all these little dots I have? These are all from scrap sheet wire sheet metal that I have been cutting out. Like when I cut out a disc, I have these little areas and I just always look at it and go, wow, that could be used for something. And because I have a nice disc cutter, I just cut little discs out of them. And as you can see, I just use it for a project like this. But I'm thinking when I accumulate enough, I'm going to do like a whole pendant of stacked up discs and things. It'll be cool. So at some point, probably end of the year, this year, I'll have enough to do that kind of a project. All right. First piece out of the pickle. Look at that. You can throw this in the tumbler if you want. It'll get nice and shiny, or you can just do this by hand and polish it up. You can take out your brass brush. Or you can take out a little bit of steel wool. You know what? I should have tested the pin before I polish this up, because, you know, what if the pin falls off here? I shouldn't be so ambitious. Should not make any assumptions. There we go. Look at that. How nice and polished. How cool is that? get to the inside, I'm going to use a little bit of steel wool. I'm not a big oxidizer. This would not please me, so I like to leave mine plain. If you want to oxidize it, you can use liver of sulfur, you can use black max. There's a whole bunch of oxidants out there, patinas out there that you can use to oxidize this to give it just a little bit more depth, but perhaps I don't like depth. Okay, so the test, here we are. Let's make sure this was soldered on. So what you want to do is, scary, but we're going to do it. We're going to take your pliers and we're going to put it right on that pin, and we're going to give it 1, 2, 3 twists. Actually, I'm going to go with 4 here. And that, look at that, nice and strong, albeit not straight anymore, but I'll straighten that up. That's feeling really long, so I'm going to trim that just a little bit. So it's going to be just under half an inch. And then you want to about 4 millimeters off the edge. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a file all the way around, but not enough to cut the wire, right? And I'm using the edge of my, the sharp edge of my file. And this will create a little bit of a lip for your clutch to catch. There we go. You see it? I think you can see that, right? That little shimmer there. It's not a ton. You don't want to make it so weak that it'll break. Just a little bit. Okay, there we are. Those are my hoop earrings. Well, what else is going on? So that's it for me this week. I am traveling tomorrow. We don't know where we're going to land on Wednesday, but be on the lookout on Facebook and maybe YouTube. I don't know. I will probably be coming to you live from Vienna at some point in the next 10 days. Next week, I am planning on having a studio tour of the Goldsmith Museum in Vienna, where we are all taking classes. Yay, so excited. So, but don't know when that will actually post. But I will try to do it from Vienna. And we'll see, you know, here and there if I could go live and show you a little bit of what we are looking at and what we see. But I'm pretty excited for that. So Metal Immersion Excursion, Vienna is starting on Wednesday, and we're going to go all the way to next Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. But until then, there is no real schedule for the rest of this week and next week. I'll be back. I think it becomes June 7th. In 2 weeks, I'll be back, and we will pick it up from here. Yeah? Pretty exciting. Any other comments? Let me know before I log off here. So a suggestion was another way to make the notch is to use round nose pliers to slightly pinch and go around the post. That's an interesting way of going about it. Never thought about doing it that way. Interesting. All right, so that is, like I said, that is it for me. Thank you everyone for hanging out for the last hour. I know it actually took about an hour to make, and you know, and all of your input and suggestions and challenges. We always like to be challenged. And thanks for all your support and sharing and liking the video. If you like what you see, do consider a little contribution. There's a link there on all of the pages, and tell us that we're doing a good job so we can keep doing what we're doing and coming back live. So from here, we'll see you from Vienna next week. And if not, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Have a great couple of weeks. Bye, guys.